Good morning, students. Now we shall discuss the poetry of Earth written by John Keats. Before that, we should know about the poet and the background of the poetry. In what condition or position the poet writes this poetry? What is the situation which inspired the poet John Keats to write this poem, The Poetry of Earth? Now we shall discuss this. How and to what inspired the poet to write this poem. Keats' sonnet, The Poetry of Earth, is the product of a competition between Keats and his friend Leigh Hunt. Keats composed the sonnets on the theme proposed by his friend. Both in content and expression, The Poetry of Earth is one of the best sonnets in English literature. It has given us one of the memorable lines ever written: "The poetry of earth is never dead." The poetry of earth means music in nature, and the music in nature never stops. This is the theme that Keats develops in the poem. The poetry of earth, the message of this poem is expressed in the following two lines. The poetry of earth is never dead. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. Through these lines, Keats asserts emphatically that poetry of nature, that is music, is present in every season and will never come to an end. Be it the speak of scorching summer and the bitterly cold winter, the music of nature adds vitality to the environment in all seasons. In summer, the songbirds, being tired with the heat of the sun, may stop singing. Even then, the poetry of earth is heard. While the birds take rest under the shade of these, the grasshopper sings in joy. It adds to the music of nature. As he moves from hedge to hedge in the meadow, he chirps merrily. His delightful songs expresses the mood of the season. The grasshopper sings excitedly until he is dead or tired. When he is exhausted, he takes rest behind a pleasant weed for a moment before resuming his song again. Thus, the grasshopper becomes the poet of summer. Similarly, the cricket is the poet of winter. In the midst of frosty silence, bleak winter evening, the poetry of the earth continues without any break. The shrill cry of the cricket breaks the silence of the winter evening. It seems to drive away the cold spells of the winter. He keeps the music of earth alive. The happy chirping of the cricket sounds thrilling. It adds new energy and vitality to the dull, lifeless weather. To a half asleep persons. The cricket's song seems to be the continuation of the grasshopper's delightful song among the grassy hills. Thus, the poet reiterates his belief in the continuity of the cycles of seasons and the song of nature. While writing about the songs of nature, usually the poets speak of the songs of nightingale, the cuckoo, and the skylark. All are the birds of the song. But in this poem, Keats speaks of the songs of two chirping insects, the grasshopper and the cricket. While the grasshopper is the poet of summer, the cricket is the bird of winter. In the poem To Autumn, Keats finds out the music of autumn. He challenges the spring for its well-known music of birds and points out that the autumn has its music too. Again, the sonnet, The Poetry of Earth, shows the young poet's taste for beauty. He finds in all seasons and in all objects of nature. Here the poet draws a natural picture of summer in octave by using words like birds, faint, hot sun, cooling trees, etc. The song of the grasshopper keeps nature alive. In the sestet, Keats depicts a fine picture of a lonely winter evening. The frost, the silence, the stops and the cricket's song suggest that the season is to winter. The sensuousness, perception of nature's beauty and melody makes the sonnet a perfect specimen of Keats' poetry. Again, to discuss, the sonnet The Poetry of Earth is written in a simple language. Both the octave and the sestet begins with the message that the poetry of art, that is music, is never stopped. While the octave is dedicated to summer, the sestet is dedicated to winter. Thus, the sonnet follows a pattern. Message follows by an illustration. The poet uses contrast between summer and the winter to show the wonderful cycle of the season in nature. But at the end, both of them brings together a common message that the music of nature or the poetry of earth never ceases. The song of the cricket seems to be a continuation of the song of the grasshopper. As a sonnet, the poem follows the Petrarchan pattern. Its simplicity of language, sensuousness, perception of beauty, and a bold assertion about the poetry of earth make it an excellent poem. So, this is the background to write the